talk, I think. Well, if it's not for you, then tell me afterwards. But it's actually quite cool to have spent 3 days just looking at culture. Like, it's something that I value and that I actually read about quite a bit, because I think like the future companies we're trying to build will rely on building a really cool culture. And there's certain things in there that I think we need to be more mindful of. So, I don't know, I should thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually look into it for 3 days. It was really cool. I was irritating everyone around me, I think, a little bit. Sorry for the guys that irritated. Okay, so basically I want to go through 3 case studies. They're all tech companies, and afterwards I actually looked and I thought it would have been cool to be able to see what's happening in the media space. Like, to try and find, hello Adam?
How's it?
We're meant to be full screen, but now we're not.
Hold on, coming.
Okay, we might be full screen later. So I want to, these are all tech companies, but I think that you can take something out of it and you can apply it to whatever industry you're in. So, the Apple TV is giving me problems. So the guys at MIT did this really cool study. So they said, cool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some students and I'm going to give them a few different tasks. I'm going to say, why don't you memorize a string of digits? Why don't you solve some puzzles, do some spatial puzzles, and then also do some exercise. So like, how many star jumps can you do? Okay? And they said, if you do a little, we give you a little reward. If you do in the middle, we give you a middle reward. If you do like amazingly well, we give you this massive reward. Okay, so they wanted to test this whole thing of trying to get people to do more good things. So what happened? As long as the task involves star jumping, you get exactly that. So I go, how many star jumps can you guys do, Nick? I give you a minute, do star jumps. And I give you like another month's salary. You're going to do tons of star jumps. So the higher the bonus, the better the performance. Nick's going to do tons of star jumps. But as soon as you ask someone to do something that involves thinking, so any cognitive skills, you actually get the opposite result. So the higher the reward, the poorer the result. So these guys, obviously they're at MIT and they thought, okay, this is just because we're in America, let's go test it somewhere else. So they went to India. They were like, cool. In India now, we are giving them, it's not a small reward, we're giving them either 2 weeks salary, or 1 month salary, or 2 months salary. So this is like fantastic rewards. Okay? So what happened? The first and the second ones, they didn't do any better. They did about the same. The guys that were working for the best result, they did worse. So it shows that sort of carrot and stick vibe, that actually is something that we do a lot in corporates. Hit that, you get that. It doesn't actually work if you aren't doing star jumps. And I don't think anyone around here are doing star jumps. Okay, so money, of course, is a motivator. So when I looked at this, I was like, oh, flip. So then I shouldn't get a bonus, because that didn't work. So then I was frightened for a bit. So I think what we need to do is make sure that we pay guys what they're worth. So if you pay guys not what they're worth, then of course money's going to be a motivator. But if you check that box, you make sure money's off the table, guys are earning what they're worth. Then there are 3 things that lead to better performance: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And I just want to discuss each of these quite quickly. So autonomy, so management is great if you want compliance, but if you want engagement, self-direction is better. So the ability for you to do what you think is best is probably the most important thing that we can have as a media organization. So some examples would be Google. Like if you think of that, they have that 80-20 thing where they say, so 20% of the time you can work on whatever you want. And some of the tech guys in the back end say what came out of that 20% were actually amazing things. Didn't Google Maps come from there?
Yeah.
So if you don't say these are your tasks and do them, but you actually go like I trust that you'll do cool things, you get better results in the end. So giving guys that autonomy is actually super important. Then mastery, it's an interesting one. So the urge to do better at what you're doing. So that's why people play musical instruments, because you just keep doing it, even though you're really crap at the beginning, you do it because you want to master the skills. And then purpose. It feels like more and more organizations really need purpose. So you look at Skype and you go, we want to make phone calls free, and that's like really, really amazing. Or you look at Apple and they go like, we really want to make a dent in the universe and build really great products. If you can give guys purpose, that makes them really, really focused. Okay, so that was my introduction, my pre-up, which I'm done with now. There's actually a very cool video that Christoph sent on to me. I watched it like about a year ago and I was really impressed by it. And when I wanted to do the talk, I wanted to try and find it again. So I'll send it to you guys because it's really, I mean, it basically does what I've just done, but I think slightly better. So I'll send it to you. So let's look at Valve. So this is really funny. So my son is 12 and he loves gaming. So I said to him, I'm going to talk about culture and I'm discussing Valve, and Valve are the guys that does Left 4 Dead. And he's like, wow, can you please ask them to send me a free game? So I'm like, no, I'm not talking to them, I'm talking about them. He's like, I want to get a game. But they basically did Second Life and they did Left 4 Dead. So this comes out of their manual. So when you join their team, they have this really cool manual that they give to you. And the front page says, a fearless adventure in knowing what to do when no one's there telling you what to do. And then they have really amazing things in there. They call it flatland. So they say, we don't have management. Like, why should we have managers? Even the guy that founded the company, he isn't the manager. He doesn't give direction. So we don't want to have environments where everything is predictable and we repeat the same things, you know. So when they take a huge amount of effort in appointing the right staff, like huge amount, and they're saying, so we go and hunt for these amazing people, and then we put them at their desk, and then we say, okay guys, now do what we say. I mean, it's like stupid. Like when you appoint these really bright guys, you need to get value out of them. Getting value out of them is not telling them what to do. It's for them to figure out what it is that they should be doing. So that's why it's flat. So they really look at the company and say, you can steer it in any direction that you see fit, because we trust you. We've appointed you, you've gone through all these tests, you are great, you're going to help steer the company. So they have these things which I'd love to implement on our floor, and that's desks with wheels. So the idea is, it's a reminder that you should be moving around a lot, and that you should always be in the place where you can add most value. So the wheels is a reminder of that. So you go like, okay, I think right now I can add most value in this unit. You basically unplug, so these are the steps to remove your desk. You unplug, you make it loose, you go to the next place, and then you sit yourself down there. So, I don't know, perhaps in Media 24 we should all have like desks on wheels so we can move around and add more value to where it's necessary. Also, you don't get assigned, so they interview you, and then it's not as if they say, cool, you're going to work on this project. Not at all. Like, you choose your own project. So you go like, either you join someone, or you say, I think we should be focusing on blah. And then you recruit people to join your team. So you can go, cool, now I have a team of guys, and we'll output this thing, because I think that's important. And no one tells you to do it. No one says yes or no. You just need to be able to convince them this is the right thing to do. So this is then their structure on how to find out what projects are underway. And they say, talk to people. So talk to them when you're in meetings, when you're in the lift, when you're making coffee, when you're in the toilet. Like, just like talk. Like, talk to one another and find out what projects are going on. And then you'll know what's happening in the company. They do have structure, because you probably go like, okay, so if all these people just do all sorts of different things, like how would it work, physically work? But they say that structure happens. So if I think that it's a great idea to work on project X, I'm going to recruit people to join me, and then someone in there will be team lead. And it happens naturally, and it's not forced by anyone. And then as you move to another project, you might have a different role. So you might not be team lead, you might be something else, which is quite refreshing. Because I mean, if you imagine like the amount of growth that you could do as a person, I think that's really nice. So looking at hours, and hours is a very interesting thing, because I think traditionally you think the more hours you spend at your desk, the more effective you are. And all these guys that we look at, they actually say the opposite. So they go like, we've appointed really cool guys. It's important for us to have happy people. We acknowledge the fact that you have other stuff, so you have kids and stuff, and that you spend time with them. So they go, your hours is your own, you decide how much you put in, and when you're at your desk or not. So then this is really funny. So he's saying, he does this whole long thing about the office. So he's going like, so, and as you walk down the passage and you have like this really great croissant and you're drinking like fantastic cappuccino and you've just dropped your laundry at our laundry place that does all your clothes for you, and you just had a massage and you think like, oh, I shouldn't be doing all these things. Again, like, this is exactly why we put it down for you. Like, it's really important to make sure that we take care of you. And then he says, if there's caviar at meetings, then I will stop worrying. But all the other things, like really cool, like we're trying to keep you and retain you. You guys can come in. Oh. So then this is something that hello Landbouw. Grab a seat, because you're late, you have to sit here. Okay, so then they look at peer reviews. So I think peer reviews or reviews immediately for, I think is not so cool. So you have this one person that goes see, and then you have these items that they go through and then they rate you, and I just think it's stupid because very often they don't really see you day to day, and they're not the guys that actually know the value that you give to the organization. So what these guys do, they go like, giving reviews is like very, very important, and it helps people grow. But how they do it is they're a different set of people. So they say, okay, these 10 people are now going to be doing reviews, and they would walk to everyone and say, who did you work with recently, and what was your experience of them? And then they take notes of all the feedback that people give that worked with you in the past 6 months, whatever. And then they put it all in a list and they hand it to you and say, this is the feedback from your peers, which I think is really, really cool. How they rate it is they look at your technical ability. So they go like, what is the quality of stuff that you worked on? So I mean, because they choose their own projects, they're going to go, okay, you chose really important projects that really added value to our organization, and they were really complex to do. Okay, so that's the one. Then they look at speed, so how fast can you get things out and can you get it delivered into the marketplace? And then they look at the group contribution. So they go, how well did you help people join our organization, train them, make them feel part of the family? How effective were you in the group to talk to or to just make sure people communicate a lot? And then they look at the product contribution. So what did you actually, like from a product perspective, what are the skills that you brought to the table? And then they rank it like this. So everyone would get, like, you might be excellent at technical ability, but really crap at group contributions. So I think it's quite a refreshing way of looking at how we actually do reviews. I think, Zelda, take it to management. So they feel like hiring is the most important thing in the universe. And I kind of agree with them. I think finding the right people is what could make a company work or not work. And they always they have a rule of appointing people that are stronger than you. So very often, like, we would interview and go like, oh no, that guy's way too smart. No. Let's get someone like you. But what they do is they go like, are you smarter than I am? Yes, cool, you have the job. And then they look at this T-modeled employee, so someone with like a deep understanding of a very specific topic, and then also combined with that, a generalist, so that understands quite a few different things, which also is quite cool. So they've pointed people away, so guys that have a deep understanding but don't have the width of knowledge. Okay, so then going on to GitHub, so that's a code repository. They're based in San Francisco, and their story is fascinating. So this is from Eric Holman. I think he's like the 4th guy that joined them, and he's a flippin' cool guy. So this is from a video that he did that I'll also share with you guys because it's really interesting listening to him. So he said that when they started, there were 4 guys, 2 of which had full-time jobs and 2 that didn't. And they used to meet in lots of different places. So it was in a bar, in a coffee shop, at home, like in a restaurant. So they needed to be able to work without being in the same kind of location. So these guys love traveling, so very often they'd be on different continents, but yet they're starting Github, so they needed to connect and talk to one another. So they were forced almost to be distributed and super flexible, just because they had all these like strange 4 guys that weren't very often in the same continent. So they are very flexible. So 9 to 5 for them, like, it just doesn't work. It's stupid. Why should we work 9 to 5? And the reason for that is they say, like, how can you force creativity? Say I'm an artist, and you go, cool, I've appointed you as an artist, you must check in at 9 and then paint until 5. It's like, flip, but perhaps I paint best at 2 in the morning, so should I be able to do that? So they want to make sure that they get people when they are at their best, so when their output is at their best. So in their office they have a huge variety of people. So they have early birds, they have late nighters, they have guys that travel abroad, they have really a wide variety of different people at their office. So we want the best work from our people, let's say. And that happens when they're fresh and creative and happy, and that's why we need to be super flexible, which makes a lot of sense and is quite logical when you think of it like that. It's also interesting that they haven't been around for long, but obviously they're at a stage where most people have kids, so they go being less hour-centric, so being less 9 to 5 makes that you can be around things that you care for. So if it's children, then that's that, or you might have a hobby or whatever, and that makes you happier, which makes your output much better. So this for me was one of the nicest things that they said. It's like, trust your employees, you hired them after all. So all of these guys take a huge amount of effort in appointing the right staff. So once you've done that, trust them that they'll do the right thing. So what they do is they go, we trust you, we help you if you get stuck. So you're working on a task, you're not executing on it, we're going to help you sort that out. And then we verify that they're doing the work. And they do this through really excellent communication. So here's this whole thing about working asynchronous, and they need to do that because they wanted to hire the best guys, okay? So they couldn't necessarily say we all sit in the office and we all work the same hours. They have some people working in America, some guys working in Europe, and they have different time slots and everything. So these are the 4 things that they do in working asynchronous. So it's geography, attention-aware, team-oriented, and minimal process. So distributed work is a big priority for them. And this, they have this one thing where they say, so like we want to try to get the best guys. What are the chances we're going to get the best guys down the road in San Francisco? It's like highly unlikely. So why don't we rather just find the best guys, whether they're in Asia or in Africa or down the street? It's material. And that's quite a refreshing thought. So they're not thinking that you need to be in the same area for you to actually work together. They limit in-person contact. So it's not as if, like, you don't need to sit opposite someone to actually have a relationship with that person. So the stuff that they do is they have chat. So a chat room where people can share thoughts, and all communication happens in there. And you can search that and go back and see, okay, what did these guys say like a year ago about a certain topic, and they can find that. They have something that they call Beer 30. It happens every Friday. And they have it's only half an hour, and they have the founders talk about stuff that matters, where the company is. It's like sometimes about products, sometimes about their finance. It's like it varies very much what they talk about. Then they have lots of rooms where they can use FaceTime to connect with people that's on other continents. So it's as if the guy is just sitting opposite you. So that sort of communication is there. And then they have these recorded talks. So they'll have lots of people giving talks, they'll record them, and anyone else can watch them. So that even though you're not in the same continent, it feels like you're really close by. And then they have this like structured team building. And he tells a story in that, like, it's very easy if you're sitting in San Francisco and the other guys in South Africa, for example, like, you know, for you to build something that will benefit the guy in South Africa is like, oh, why should I do it? But if you've met him at these like team building and you actually know what he looks like, and you go, flip, I'll make his life a huge amount easier if I could just build this feature. It gives a face to a person and makes you probably output a little bit more. And it's amazing how quickly they've grown. Like, it's from 2010 to 2012, they've really grown massively. I think they're 83 right now. So then they like the guys to be attention aware. So we want developers to be in the zone. They don't have any technical meetings, no stand-ups, no planning meetings. They have no managers because they just distract. Oops. So they have all these things. Like tapping me on my shoulder is inherently being a jerk. Scheduling a meeting is inherently probably a hate crime. Think someone, like, why do you have meetings and why? Like, all these meetings are stupid. So you have chat, just chat to someone, and then they can react when they feel like it. So if they're in the zone right now, don't distract them. They have 30 rooms that they can chat in. Like the J&J room is the one for the flagging cats. We have a lot of those as well. And then they have like the serious room, enterprise room, design room. So lots of chat rooms where all the conversations happen. So they are quite team oriented. So they have very small teams. Teams choose themselves. You don't get assigned to a team. And then the fact that they have such small teams make them move really, really fast. And then they have minimal process. So developer happiness is central to our workflow. They have 83 employees and no one's ever left, which is huge in San Francisco. I mean, there people just move all the time for a little bit more salary, so no one's left, which is obviously doing something right. So how do they do that? They give the guys freedom, no set hours, no need to be in the office. They don't check their vacation. So it's like if you get 20 days leave and then you need to manage it, you can take leave when you want to, but we trust that you take it at the right time. So self-direction, which is part of that's what I said earlier. So you can work on things that interest you. And there are teams. People should move between them as easy as just like, they should also have wheels, I think. Unplugging, going there. And then they make sure that there are shared side projects. So like if you're tired of working on a specific thing, then you can start working on something else. And sometimes it's just fun. It's not as if you're adding value to the product. It's just like some internal thing. Like they wrote this thing where like everyone likes music there. They have lots of musos. So they were like, perhaps we should have music in the office. Let's write something where you can send music and then everyone, doesn't matter if you're in San Fran or in South Africa or wherever, you listen to the same soundtrack. So someone just wrote that because they thought that'll be cool. And then they have this, like a help page, and they said they probably have the nicest help page on this planet because someone just like, I'm bored with what I'm doing now, I'm going to work on this thing. So a lot of those sort of just working cool stuff. So they go like, build a company that you want to work for. Okay, so my last one, is Zappos. So when we started Sari Shop, I read this book which the CEO of Zappos wrote, Delivering Happiness, which is a flippant amazing book, and you should all read it. It really is, like, it changed my view completely. So you all know Zappos? The online shoe store. So I got lots of pictures from Lona, because Lona visited them yesterday, exactly a year ago. They're in Las Vegas, and this is her dressed up as a VIP. So thank you, Lona, for the pickies. She said that as you come into the reception area, they have this big iPad as their reception table, which apparently is like really, really nice. And then when you pitch up there with a tie, they go like, no, and then they chop it off. Which is really, really cool. And then they have two really nice initiatives that they run. The one is wishes. So they go like, okay, you can wish for anything, okay? And then you load your wish in this system, and once a year they grant a wish to someone, which is really nice. And then they have to spin the wheel for vouchers. So I don't know how often you can spin it. You can spin it, and then you get like a shoe voucher or whatever. So that's also really cool. This is the CEO. She said that this is like it's a forest or something. And they've got peanuts everywhere, like on the desk, and you can throw people with it. And like Tony sits there. So he's got an interesting story because he made tons, 265 million tons of money selling his company Link Exchange to Microsoft. And he tells a story that they started off and there were 5 guys and they worked extremely hard. Like, even slept at the office and they grafted like crazy, and then the company became successful and needed to appoint more people. So he said he hired the best guys, so they grew from 5 to 100, and then he dreaded going to work. So all of a sudden there was a place that sucked and he didn't want to be there. So he values culture. So culture building is an investment. So like investing in your culture, making sure guys are happy is like super, super important. So when he joined Zappos, he was like, flip, I'm making sure that this won't be the same as Link Exchange. It needs to be a company where I always want to come to work, and it must be absolutely amazing. So they're notoriously excellent at customer service, and I often wondered, like, how do you get fantastic customer service people? But it's because they give them total authority. So they go like, you can do whatever you want to make sure the customer is happy. So they give a lot of like authority to these call center agents. So I want to give you delivery for free, or this pair of shoes for free, or I'll send you flowers. Like they have authority to do that.
It's a great day here at Zappos. How may I help you?
I received the most beautiful dress this morning.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, it's gorgeous. My problem is I don't know who it's from.
Okay, let me take a look here.
Okay. Does this happen a lot?
No, not really. Who do you think it's from?
Is it from Eddie?
No.
Okay. Daryl? He's
No.
like stalking me. Okay. Is it from Jesse?
Yes.
Ah! Rachel, it's from Jesse!
Oh my God, she's so hot.
So I'm going to show 3 of these. So they did this really great ad campaign, which is like it's a recording from like real customer care lines. So it's just fascinating. I think this one is my favorite.
Thank you for calling Zappo. How can I help you today?
So I have a little problem.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered a dress yesterday afternoon, and it showed up this morning.
Okay.
I'm not really emotionally ready for it yet, so I put it in the garage under a tarp.
Totally understand.
So can I send it back?
Yes, you can absolutely send it back. You will have to touch the box, though.
Thank you so much.
It's a great day at Zappo. This is Eric. How may I help you?
Yes, I'm in the market for some new work pants.
Okay.
Flame retardant red velvet work pants.
Let me take a look and see what we have here.
With the white fur trim.
Like a Santa suit.
No.
Let's see what I can find over here. Let me try my very best. And if I don't have one here, I can try and find them for you. How about that?
That would be fantastic.
They also had one that I should have also shown. It is so funny. So she phones in and she says, hey, I'd like to exchange or send back the running shoes that I just bought. And they go, cool. Would you like to replace it with something? And she said, yes, I'd like to replace it with product ID. And she gives the ID. And it comes up and she says, oh, that's a deep fryer. She says, yeah, I had a turnaround. It is really funny. So this is also interesting. It comes from the book. So Tony says that he had this client meeting with Skechers. And it was late one night. And one of the reps said, Flip, I'd love to have a pizza right now. And they were joking and said, yeah, why don't you just call our call center and see if you'll get a pizza. And so everyone was going, like, should we really do it? No, they'd never do it. And Tony said, no, phone. And they phoned, and the person answered and said, you do know this is Zappo's, yeah? And then she said, yeah, I know. And she said, okay, cool, hold on a second, let me just find it out for you. And then she gave him like a list of all the restaurants that's close by and recommended what to get. And it was like really amazing. I think the record for being on a call, so a support call, is 10 hours. So they have no script. So you can answer how you want, you can deal with the customer how you want, and then some people just want to talk to you. So 10 hours is the max. So then they have these core values. So I always look at values, and I know that they're important, but sometimes they can be so boring, and people don't remember them. So the core values from Zappo's is just really, really amazing. So the first one is deliver wow through service. And they say wow is such a small little word, but it's like so powerful. And it really says differentiate yourself. It's like doing something unconventional and innovative. So service is what they're about, and delivering wow through it is really important. So embrace and drive change. So I think in Media 24, probably we have the same challenge in that things are changing quite a bit. So the ability to embrace it and to perhaps go into the unknown, like we don't know where we're going, but we just need to embrace it and go, I think is really important. So create fun and a little weirdness, which is probably my favorite. So this is what their offices look like. Again, these pics are from Lona. So it's like totally crazy. Like everyone can dress up their workspace exactly how they want. And apparently, as you walk past them, they're making noises and they're just like fun. They're just like different. So be adventurous, creative, and open-minded. So they really believe that if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. And you're not trying new things. So making mistakes is embraced there. Like you need to be able to make mistakes. Pursue growth and learning. So they're saying inside every employee is more potential than even the employee himself realizes. Our goal is to help employees unlock that potential. And then build honest and open relationships. And here it's not only relationships with your colleagues, but it's also with management or people that phone in or suppliers. Throughout the bank, great relationships. So build a positive team and family spirit. And in the book they speak about one girl that I think she couldn't find a home or something, and just how they don't have a company, they have a family. So everyone in Zappo just went to help her move or something. It's they really care about their employees, which is really cool. do more with less. So especially as, you know, I think in Media 24 we probably need to do a whole heap of that. So we don't always have like lots of funding to do cool things, but doing cool things doesn't always cost a lot. So do more with less, I think, is awesome. Be passionate and determined. And they were saying that these are really contagious. Like, be passionate is contagious. It spreads through the organization. Be humble. So they have a very strange recruitment process. So you have 2 interviews. The one is, like, can you do the job? And the other one is, like, is there a fit there? So they ask all these really cool questions that I'm going to ask going forward to everyone. So they go, how weird are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in an interview? What superhero would you like to be? Would you dress up at work if given the chance? And if your life had a soundtrack, what song would be playing? What was the most challenging moment in your life? I just think that it's really cool. So then when you get hired, you actually work there in their call center. Doesn't matter who you are. Like even if you want to be the CEO, you work in the call center and you get to spend 4 weeks there. You start at 7, you can't be late, you can't be ill, you can't have excuses, you need to be there. Which is quite cool. And then also, like any time during that 4 weeks, if you think this is not for you, they pay you $2,000 to quit. So they really want to make sure that if you're there for the right reasons and you actually want to be part of the Zappo's family. Also, during December, you know, there's normally a peak then in e-commerce, and they never get outside consultants to help manage the volume of calls. They just use the rest of the guys, because everyone had training in the call center, so they don't need to outsource that, which is really quite cool. So they have some cool perks. They have free lunch, they have happy hours, they have a nap room, they have profit sharing, and then they have this full-time life coach that you can go and see. But they only, like, if you see her, you need to sit on this throne, like a red throne, and then you can talk to her about your progress, which I thought was really, really classic. And then this was quite cool. So the managers are encouraged to spend 10 to 20% of their time with team members outside of the office. So not making sure that not everything happens in the office, but sometimes you go outside. And then any employee can give any other employee a $50 bonus for a job well done, which is also really quite cool. So, I mean, listening to this, I think you do think, like, okay, well, will this work for me? And I don't think the answer isn't yes, we can just apply all these rules straight to our business. But I think it is good to look what's out there, and then you might need to mold it a bit so that it works for your organization. That's me. Questions?
So how much of this are you implementing with the immediate effect?
Yeah, all of it. No, we don't. I mean, so when I looked at the hours thing, I started to, because I think like, to spend time in traffic sucks. Like, who wants to sit in traffic for an hour or hour and a half? So we're very flexible in terms of working hours. We have 4 hours that I'd like the guys to be around, so that's from 10 to 3. And in between that, like if you want to come in later or if you want to work from home, that's totally fine. And I think it's worked out well. I think it's nice. I trust my team, so like I trust that they'll produce excellent work. You know, if they come in at 10, that doesn't impact that at all. So yeah, we do that. It's hard because we don't work on, I think if you're a product company and you work only on one thing, then it's easy to get guys to really move around and say, I'm going to choose whatever I want. But what I want to try in some of our products is for guys to choose what they work on within that product. So, you know, why is it that someone needs to say, hey, this is a cool feature to build? Like, why can't that be coming from our engineering team? So that they go, cool, I've looked at the product, I think we should build this, and that they can actually go and build that. So it's really hard for me because I was going, flip, either I can do, we could say everyone works from home. So we don't have an office, we don't have to be here. But then I also like having a cool vibe. Like I like having guys around and like bantering and sharing coffee and drinking beer on a Friday. Like I like that. So, and I think it's important. I think you might become a little bit isolated if you just always work from home. So having flexibility so that you don't sit in traffic for too long, or if you want to spend time with the kid in the morning, if that's important to you, you can do that. But we still have, okay, everyone's here now and we can connect. So I feel like that's the best of both worlds, really. Yeah, but sometimes it's the small things. You know, it's not always like the big things. And then we had lots of debate about structure because last year we didn't have a lot of structure at all. So it's like, hey, just build cool things. And then how long will it take? Well, I don't know. Well, this year we have a lot more structure, and but without it being bad, and without too many meetings. Yeah. Nikolaj.
Yo, a lot of these guys who start up, they got the benefit that they can either give employees equity into and reward them in that way, where they can't necessarily offer them amazing salaries. But then there's also this new take with the likes of Netflix, where they just pay them a once-off salary. There's no bonus because we're hiring the correct person, and this is exactly what your value is. I mean, what's your take on those sort of reward schemes? Applying something like that in Media 24, because the day of the 13th check, etc., has kind of fallen away. It's you can't motivate your employees, or maybe some can, but I think especially with these startups, it's shown that it's not necessarily the best way to reward the employees.
Yeah, so I mean that is part of the beginning, which I think that it shouldn't be in money. So I think it should be in other things. Mm-hmm. You know, it should be in you have control over like what you're working on, or like you can choose the language that you can code in, or like I just think that it's not. If you tick that box of we're paying you what you're worth, then to add a lot of those incentives on top of it, I'm not sure that it's that important. Mm-hmm. More important to invest in your people, to go, cool, how do you want to grow? What is your future in the organization? Oh, you want to do blah, then okay, cool, let us help you get there. So I think it's more around that. I'd love to go, like, cool, let's just pay out for all the people that deliver excellent work, here's extra money, but like it's not so easy to just do that. Especially not in a big organization like ours.
So in that sort of environment, those sorts of environments you're talking about, there's things like overtime, that stuff just doesn't exist.
No.
Eh?
No. But I think it's different because they're working, you're working on stuff that matters to you. It's like you choose your project, you're working on it, you have such a vested interest in making it work that to go, oh, I've put in 2 hours overtime, I think is against exactly what you've just done. So
they must have very strong kind of mentorship, because I can imagine recruiting must be incredibly hard, because you don't really know what you're recruiting for, in a way. You haven't got like this role that this person's going to do.
That's where the culture fit in all these organizations is probably the most important thing. Like, will you fit in? Obviously you need to have the skills, but will you fit in? And I think that sort of structure doesn't work for everyone. Like being not so, I'm going to walk in, I'm going to get my tasks, this is what's expected of me. You know, some people want that. But I think if you look at the really young people, they don't, I don't think, if we want to attract those sort of people, we can't have an organization that's like that. That you come in and you say, okay, this is your task, this is your KPA. You come in at 8 and you leave at 5. I think we need to think of smart ways to make it better and more fun. Bonjour?
How weird are you once again?
I wish I was very weird, but does it help that my brother is very weird? But I think we shouldn't be so serious. We shouldn't take our lives so serious and like, oh, we must be like all corporate. Even though we're in a corporate environment, I think we can be slightly strange and interesting. And that doesn't mean that you're not driven and that you're not doing excellent work. It just means that it's probably a bit more fun being at work. But I think I'm an average weird person. Well, if you compare me to the rest of the team, then I'm super normal. Cool, well, thanks for listening to me. And if you have any other questions, just come get me directly.
Thanks.